Welcome back. Juba has summoned the Dutch ambassador demanding an apology following remarks attributed to the Dutch Minister for International Trade and Development Cooperation, Lilian Plumen, who allegedly called South Sudanese leaders bastards. She stated, and I quote, "The leaders of South Sudan are bastards who starve their own people," end of quote. The Dutch minister was speaking during a nationwide campaign which has seen the Dutch government and the public donate tens of millions of euros to UNICEF and Dutch NGOs as they struggle to address 4 major famines. A Kenyan man has pleaded not guilty to charges of killing Tristan Vorsboy, a British military veteran, last month as he inspected his farm in the Laikipia region in northern Kenya. Samson Lucas says he had nothing to do with the murder. Mr. Lucas first appeared in court in March, but the court proceedings were postponed because he did not understand Swahili or English, which are the languages used in court. Kenya's security forces have been trying to bring normalcy in the Laikipia region after armed herders looking for pasture for their animals raided private farms, with some looting and torching property. And in Benin Republic, the National Assembly has narrowly rejected a proposal by President Bujumburas to hold a constitutional referendum seeking to limit his successors to a single 6-year term in office. President Talon, who was elected a year ago, said he wanted to shorten presidential terms to combat complacency. He couldn't do that without the approval of 3/4 of the National Assembly, but the referendum fell 3 votes short. President Talon's effort to reduce presidential terms contrasts with some other African leaders, such as in Rwanda, the Republic of Congo and Burundi, who have extended them in order to stay in office. Paris is considered by some as the home of modern art, but when it comes to African contemporary art, experts say that it lags behind London and New York in recognizing the continent's contribution. Now, all that could change after a spring devoted to African culture at one of the world's most prestigious art shows. The Paris Art Fair Africa took center stage.
Some of Africa's biggest art gallery owners and artists brought their best to the Grand Palais in France for the 19th edition of the Paris Art Fair. Considered one of the most prestigious art shows in the world, the event, which was held this year from March the 31st to April the 2nd, featured African art as its guest of honor. Around 20 art galleries from countries like South Africa, Côte d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Uganda, Senegal, Tunisia, Cameroon, Morocco and Europe showcased a wide range of emerging artists from the continent and the diaspora. The director of Art Paris Art Fair spent the last 2 years traveling around Africa, cultivating relationships and promoting some of the artists featured at the exhibition.
We can see we're witnessing the rise of Africa now. It was important to do it now, and especially in Paris. And I think in Paris there is a kind of belatedness on how we perceive Africa.
The pieces in the exhibition cut across different genres that include photography, collage and oil paintings, sculptures, videos and so on. With his colorful personality and vibrant paintings documenting his home city, Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of Congo's Jean-Paul Micard has become a fixture at many international art exhibitions. Here, he presented his latest collection, reflecting a political and social critique of his country, influenced by the works of another Congolese great, Sherry Samba. In order to make the sort of detail you see here in this picture, with this sort of precision, I used Sherry Samba as a foundation. But the difference is that I innovated and extrapolated. I improved it in my own way. The event also allowed many artists whose works have never been shown outside of their native countries to gain more exposure. To add even more flavor to the event, Congolese chef Dioville Malonga catered to guests' culinary tastes. He served gourmet dishes presented in artistic form.
West Africa's Gulf of Guinea, a significant source of oil, cocoa and metals for world markets, has been plagued by piracy and drug trafficking in recent years, threatening security and shipping companies in the region. Regional governments are working to boost their naval capacity and improve cooperation through training from international partners, including the U.S. military, to improve security.
Special forces from Côte d'Ivoire closing on a Colombian vessel suspected to be smuggling drugs from South America. They are part of the crew from the Ivorian naval patroller Le Bouclier, which has been hunting the traffickers for several hours in West Africa's Gulf of Guinea. Kitted out in tactical gear and brand new compact assault rifles designed especially for close quarters combat, they soon arrest the smugglers. However, the hot pursuit is in reality a training run, part of a US-sponsored Africa Command AFRICOM exercise meant to mirror the reality of the Gulf of Guinea, where maritime criminals smuggle drugs, hijack vessels, illegally fish, and sell stolen oil from Nigeria. A decline in Somali piracy and the Indian Ocean and Gulf of Aden left the Gulf of Guinea as the world's center for attacks at sea. More than half of all maritime kidnapping victims in 2016 were captured off West Africa, according to International Maritime Bureau statistics. West African nations may be losing up to $1.3 billion each year to illegal fishing, and Nigeria's Navy confiscated 420 billion naira worth of stolen crude oil and illegally refined diesel last year alone. But regional efforts to boost naval capacity, cross-border cooperation and training may finally be bringing some order to the chaos.
We have cooperation at different levels. It's not only about naval asset, but we have also the sharing of information. And at this level, I think that the different bordering countries of the Gulf of Guinea are working in this direction. They want to work together. They want to tackle the transnational threats together. They have the volunteer. They have the will to tackle these different threats. And this is what the most important.
AFRICOM has sponsored an annual naval exercise in West Africa called Obangame Express since 2010. The most recent edition, held last week, saw the participation of 20 African nations. The Gulf of Guinea region is a stretch of West Africa's coast, spanning more than a dozen countries, and is a growing source of oil, cocoa and metals for world markets.
And that's our program today. Thank you so much for watching. I am BC Adebayo.